Hi everyone, well, this is a new video explaining a bit better this mixer which I was showing in my studio tour video. You know, I been receiving messages to talk a bit more about this mixer. You know, mixers are there are a lot of mixers out there in the market, from very small to the classic ones that has, like this one, 4 mono channels and 4 stereo channels. It depends on your needs. The first thing you have to ask yourself is, how many channels do I need? How many channels with preamps do I need for microphones, or if I need inserts? And the second thing you have to ask yourself is, how many auxiliary outs do I need? I'll explain to you all this because in the previous video I was explaining the auxiliary thing as regards Skype and the telephone hybrid. You know, people wanted to know what it was all about. So this mixer is a Yamaha. I like Yamahas because they have very quiet preamps. The preamps, you'll notice the preamps because they have a gain, an independent gain control. So this mixer has 6 preamps, okay? And they are very low, very quiet preamps by comparison to a Behringer. You know, try to do this to find the right mixer for you, or if you want to Google, you will find many reviews of good and bad mixing boards. When you turn a volume up and you start to hear a very noisy hiss sound, or even the preamp, you push it hard to the maximum level, well, and you start to hear that nasty hiss sound, is because that preamp is noisy. That's why I like Yamaha's mixers, because they have very quiet preamps. That's for a start. This mixer has 4, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 mono channels, and you have 4 stereo channels. 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12 are stereo channels. Each of these, as you can see, you will see, I will show you what is a channel strip, because if you understand the concept of a channel strip, you basically understand the whole mixer, right? So let's start by the easy one, the channel number 1. You can see there that the channel number 1 has, you'll see an XLR connector. You'll see it's labeled as mic 1 because I have a microphone there. Above you have a line input, you know, for line level signals. You have an insert here. What is an insert? Well, it's a feature that not the cheaper mixers have. This is basically for sound processors. It could be effects or it could be compressors. You need a Y cable with a 1/4 inch touring jack, single jack on one end, and 2 1/4 inch jacks with 1 ring on the other end. You plug, as you can see here, where am I here? This is an insert, one end, the single one, I plug it here, and this sends the signal dry to, in my case, a compressor limiter gate. I connect one of the jacks on the other end on the input of the compressor and the other one on the output of the compressor, and that gives me the signal back to the mixer already processed. Next, you have the gain pot, well, knob, let's say, knob. This is the gain knob. This is a preamp, so the gain gives power and, you know, volume gain to the channel. That's why it's called a preamp, because it preamplifies the signal you plugged right above. The next thing is a low-cut filter. I don't have it enabled because the microphone I'm using in this channel has already a built-in low-cut filter, and when in that case it's recommended to use the built-in microphone low-cut filter rather than the mixer one. So if the microphone doesn't have a built-in low-cut filter, you can use this one. This is to minimize rumbling noises like, you know, air conditioners or room noises or traffic noises that comes from outside. This is a compressor, a built-in compressor that comes, you know, as a gift, you know, with the mixer. It has, the compressor comes in the first four channels, not in the other ones, just in the first four mono, as I said, mono channels. I don't use it. I don't use any of them. You have the EQ section. We're still in channel strip 1 with 3-band EQ, highs, mids and lows. This is auxiliary outs. You have auxiliary out 1, auxiliary out 2. The first line of auxiliary, or so aux 1, auxiliary 1, you can switch between pre-fader and post-fader. What does it mean? Whatever you do with the fader, what is an auxiliary out? It's like a channel strip, but horizontally. Okay? So imagine all this mix you can do with the faders in every channel, but an imaginary channel strip that is oriented in this way. The thing is, the faders can control how many of the signal you send to this pipeline. So, post-fader means that if I have, you know, and you have an auxiliary, I must show you this. You have there the auxiliary outs, because those both auxiliaries have their dedicated output. This is auxiliary, where am I? Here, auxiliary 1 out, auxiliary 2. Okay? So I'm switching back again, connecting here. Auxiliary send 2. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm sending, in my case, auxiliary 1 is the audio I send to Skype. Okay, after I finish this explanation, I will show you what I have in every channel. So I send the auxiliary signals. For example, I want the Skype caller to hear me, the other host, the other mic, maybe some music because I have music here, but not himself. I have the Skype in a netbook in this channel strip 1112. You don't want to hear the caller himself because it could get feedback. That's called a mix minus. You make a mix minus the signal you want to avoid. So I was talking about post-fader. What does it mean? No matter how this auxiliary level is set, it will be controlled by the fader, okay? If I turn down the fader, no matter how this auxiliary 1 level is, the Skype caller won't hear me if I have the fader of channel 1 down. If I switch to pre-fader, that means that the signal cuts here. From here. So it doesn't matter if I move the fader, the caller will hear me anyway. In that case, I should control by the knob that controls the general auxiliary 1, which is this one. You have a knob, right? A knob for any channel strip, for every channel strip of auxiliary levels, and you have a general, as you can see there, aux send 1 and 2 general knobs. So if you do this, the caller, whether it's pre-fader or post-fader, won't hear you at all. So, as I mentioned, you have two auxiliary outs. And for practical purposes, I have both of them in post-fader mode, so that I don't have to worry about the general knobs, volume of auxiliary sending. Then you have a pan pot. You can play with a stereo spectrum and to send the signal to the left or to the right. But in my case, as you can see, and I use this mixing board for my online radio station, which is 325radio.com, it would be awkward to hear a host in one side of the stereo. So I have all the pans in the middle, okay? So that's channel 1. Channel 2 is exactly the same. You have the on switch, which is completely muted and off. In order to the channel to work, you have to switch that, as you can see there, that light that says on, okay? Then you have this switch, which this PFL stands for pre-fader listen, the classic solo button. So you press here, you isolate every other channel, and you just monitor what is happening in this channel. And then you have 2 routing capacities. The green means that you send the channel to this bus, which is called, in this case, in this model, rake out or group 1-2. If you press the red button here, you are routing the channel to this bus, which is called stereo out. The same in channel 2, same channel 3, same channel 4. The 4 first channels are mono, so they are just the same. What happens with channel 5 and 6? As I said, this mixer has 6 preamps. Channel 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 can be used as a stereo channel or as a mono channel. As you can see, I will unplug. This is the telephone, actually, in this case. As you can see, it says line, and behind that, of course, you have an XLR connector right above. Okay, here you have an XLR connector, and under that you see line, and you can plug a stereo pair, a stereo signal, or a mono, L mono. So if you plug a single signal, as I did, you are, like, you know, transforming this channel in a mono channel. So that's great. You can use it in both ways. It has its own preamp, as you can see here, and all the features, well, not the compressor, but all the features I already show you, the same as all those channel strips. The same happens with the next channel. And the last two channels, which are stereo channels, are mainly for line, where am I? Here. For line connections. That's why you won't find, you see, channel 9, 10, 11, 12, you won't find any gain knob because they don't have preamps. They are receiving only line level inputs, which you control from, for instance, your internal audio sound cards. Okay, now let's go to the master section. In the master section, you have a pair of stereo outputs with XLR connection, and just in the left you'll see these orange jacks, a dedicated stereo out with 1/4-inch jacks. You can use one or the other, and these outs are controlled by the stereo out, as you can see there, stereo outs. Then the monitor out, which can be used for, you know, a pair of speakers, yeah. And then you have the phones, which is for your headphones here, or as I usually do when I have more hosts or guests and I'm not alone, broadcasting alone, I can plug, that's why I have this cable here, I can plug this stereo balanced cable to the input of that headphone amplifier. So the headphones output of the mixer sends a balanced stereo signal to that headphone amplifier, and I can have an independent level for any of the hosts or guests. Now moving to the master section, I like this mixer because it has a dedicated monitoring knob. So if I just want to hear my headphones without affecting the monitoring the speakers, all right? The monitor is for speakers, and this is for headphones. They are independent. Many mixers, you have to set where the knob what the knob controls, if the headphones or the speakers or monitors or monitor section. So that's why I like this mixer. It has an independent knob for speakers or monitor. This is the phones. You can control the headphones from the stereo bus or the rec out bus, which is the gray one. Now here's the thing, the gray fader controls 3 independent levels. One is the USB. This mixer has a USB interface like an audio sound card incorporated with ADDA converters that are very good, and it functions as a big sound card. So it controls the output that routes to the USB connection that is in the back and goes into my computer. It controls the rec outs you see there. I'm not using them actually right now, with 1/4-inch jacks, and another pair of rec outs which are in fact RCA. I am pointing them right now there, the rec out one, you see it's a RCA, and I don't use it. I don't use any of them. There are analogs, and I'm using this, as you can see, air radio USB in out. Now this is basically, and to close the video, I have to mention that many mixers, well, sometimes a mixer gives you more, but something will be missing. For example, this mixer has auxiliary returns, as you can see here, and you can use, there you see return, sorry, where am I? There, return. You see return. You have return 1, where am I? 1 and 2 for this knobs, 1 and 2. Or you can use it as a stereo return, and you use the red one. There's a very good mixer, the Allen & Heath Z14, which has a lot of channels. It has 4 auxiliary outs. It has inserts in every mono channel. It's a great mixer. It has 4 auxiliary outs, but it doesn't have auxiliary returns. Maybe if you don't need them, well, go for the Allen & Heath. In my case, well, I have the room enough and full with this mixer. By the time I maybe need more outputs or more room for channels, well, I have to make an upgrade and buy a larger mixer or with more auxiliary outs. To get closing the video, I have in the first mono channels the 4 microphones. In 5 and 6 I have the telephone, landline telephone, as I mentioned in the video of the tour of my studio, which you can watch the video. There's a full explanation of how I connected the landline telephone here. I had to make a mix minus. I route the telephone from the stereo out, because I broadcast from USB signal, so this stereo channel analog I I don't need it too much, so I found it a better way of the caller get a good signal and a good level to route by pressing the red buttons except the telephone, like a mix minus. In channels 7 and 8 I have one of my internal sound cards. In channel 9 and 10 another of my internal internal sound cards. I have two in my computer, and 1112 is that netbook that I use it for Skype. And here in the auxiliaries, as you can see, in auxiliary 1 I made a mix minus for sending audio to the caller through the aux send 1 to the in of the netbook, and the output of the netbook comes in a stereo cable. Here I use the RCAs, but since it's a line level channel, it doesn't matter, because you get a good signal, and I use it just for Skype. And as I was saying, I use this for a mix minus. And the auxiliary 2, well, watch my other video of the tour of the studio, because I explain what I do with auxiliary 2. Hope you like it, hope you like the mixer. It's a Yamaha MW12C, no effects. It has no effects. I just didn't need effects, so I bought the basic one. Hope you like it. If you like my video, subscribe my channel. If you like, thumbs up, and comments welcome. Thanks for watching. Until next time.